It was 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Jungkook sat at his small, cramped desk in the office of an ordinary logistics firm on the other side of town. His tie was loosened, his fingers were flying across a basic file, and his coworker was snoring softly 3 cubicles down. He was a middle-class employee making standard wages. His phone vibrated on the desk. The caller ID didn't have a name, just a single, private gold star. Jungkook picked it up instantly, his deep voice dropping into a soft murmur. "Jungkook, hey. Are you out of the board meeting?" On the other end of the line, the background noise was a symphony of clicking heels and murmuring executives. YN let out a long, exhausted, but utterly breathless sigh that went straight to Jungkook's core. YN just stepped out. The European acquisition took 3 hours longer than projected. "Jungkookie. I haven't seen your face in 48 hours. My system is experiencing a critical deficit." Jungkook leaned back in his squeaky office chair, a helpless, intensely fond smile spreading across his handsome face. "Jungkook, I know, sweetheart. But you're a businesswoman. You have an empire to run. I'm just an ordinary employee." YN stopped walking, her voice suddenly dropping into that deep, fiercely possessive tone that always made Jungkook's blood run hot. "YN, the offer is still on the table, you know. Move your desk to the top floor of my headquarters. I'll create a custom executive consulting position for you tomorrow morning. You'll have a private office connected directly to mine." Jungkook swallowed hard, his chest swelling with a mixture of intense love and stubborn, masculine pride. It wasn't the first time she had offered to bring him into her world. But Jungkook had been resolute since the day they returned from Vladivostok. "Jungkook, we talked about this, YN. Your board of directors is a pack of wolves. The moment I walk into your building on your payroll, they'll say I'm just a pretty face riding on his rich girlfriend's success. Jungkook, whiny, I want to earn my way up. I want to be a man who stands beside you because he built his own foundation, not because you handed him a golden elevator key." YN let out a low, incredibly sexy chuckle through the receiver. "YN God, your pride is infuriatingly attractive. Fine. Keep your job. But since you won't let me buy your daytime hours, I am officially hijacking your midnight." Jungkook blinked. "Jungkook, what do you mean?" YN, look out your office window." Jungkook stood up, walking over to the glass partition of his third-floor office building. Down on the empty, rain-slicked street below, a sleek, armored black Maybach was idling quietly against the curb. Standing right beside the open passenger door, completely ignoring her 2 security guards, was YN. She was wearing a stunning, tailored charcoal blazer, her long hair slightly windswept, looking every bit the untouchable lady. But the moment she looked up and caught sight of Jungkook through the glass, her cold mask completely shattered into a breathtaking smile. Jungkook didn't even grab his jacket. He took off running down the office stairs, his heart hammering against his ribs in a wild rhythm that had nothing to do with logic. He burst through the glass lobby doors and stepped into the cool night air. Before he could even say her name, YN closed the distance between them. She grabbed him by the lapels of his office vest, pulling him down aggressively into her space. YN, I missed you. She whispered against his skin, her hands trembling slightly. YN, the boardroom is so cold without you, Jungkookie. Jungkook rested his forehead against hers, his eyes dark and filled with an unyielding, protective devotion. He reached down, taking her small hand in his large one, his thumb tracing her knuckles. Jungkook, let them have your daytime, sweetheart. Let them have the meetings and the stocks. But the moment the sun goes down, you belongs entirely to me. YN smiled, a soft, helpless laugh escaping her lips as she leaned into his solid chest. The Maybach stood waiting, the drivers kept their eyes strictly forward. The ordinary logistics firm where Jungkook worked had one major flaw: it gave him entirely too much time to think. 1 week later, he sat at his desk, staring at a half-finished supply chain manifest, but his brain was busy calculating a completely different set of data points. Specifically regarding Jihoon, YN's childhood best friend and a man who looked like he had been genetically engineered by a team of high society matchmakers. Jihoon was everything Jungkook wasn't. He understood the complex language of short selling, he had a standing reservation at the most exclusive golf clubs in Seoul, and he could talk to YN about tax structures for 3 hours without getting a headache. And worst of all, Jungkook wasn't blind. He had seen the way Jihoon looked at YN during a recent charity gala. It wasn't the look of a childhood friend, it was the look of a man who had been secretly, deeply in love with her for years, just waiting for her to realize that a tycoon belonged with another tycoon. Jungkook looked down at his own plain cotton shirt and his standard-issue company ID badge. A slow, suffocating wave of insecurity settled deep in his chest. Jungkook, she's an empire, a dark voice in his head whispered. And you're just a line item on a spreadsheet. On a Friday evening, YN had invited Jungkook to a private, high-end lounge in Gangnam to celebrate a successful fiscal quarter. When Jungkook arrived, wearing his best tailored suit, which still cost less than one of Jihoon's cufflinks, he found Jihoon already sitting at the VIP booth next to YN. They were laughing, looking over a financial report on a tablet. Jihoon. I'm telling you, YN, if you liquidate the logistics assets in Europe and reinvest in tech bonds, your third quarter projections will increase by 12%. It's a basic portfolio optimization. YN tilted her head, her sharp eyes scanning the screen. YN, you're right. The tech market is expanding rapidly. I'll have my team draft the restructuring proposal on Monday. Jungkook stopped at the edge of the booth, his hands clenching into fists inside his pockets. They looked so seamless. So perfect. A pair of royals discussing the fate of billions while he spent his days tracking shipping containers. YN looked up, and the moment her eyes landed on Jungkook, her cold, analytical expression instantly melted into pure, unfiltered warmth. YN, Jungkookie. You're here. She stood up immediately, completely ignoring the financial tablet, and slid out of the booth to wrap her arms tightly around his waist. She buried her face into his chest, inhaling his familiar cedarwood scent right in front of her high society friend. Jihoon's smile stiffened slightly, a flash of quiet, territorial pain crossing his eyes before he quickly masked it with a polite, elite nod. Jihoon, Jungkook. Good to see you again. We were just discussing YN's international market expansion. It's quite intense. I suppose your firm doesn't deal with high-volume asset liquidation? It was a subtle dig, wrapped in polite phrasing. Jungkook felt the sting go straight to his pride. He adjusted his collar, his jaw tightening as he tried to keep his voice steady. Jungkook, no. We mostly handle raw logistics. The groundwork that keeps the actual economy moving. Jihoon chuckled softly, swirling his whiskey glass. Jihoon, of course. The foundational labor. Very essential. But when you're managing an empire like YN's, you need to think about the bigger picture. Protect the legacy, you know? Jungkook's throat felt tight. He looked at YN, expecting her to agree, expecting her to look at him and realize the massive financial deficit between them. The insecurity in his chest was so heavy it felt like it was crushing his lungs. But YN didn't look at Jihoon. She didn't look at the tablet. She was looking entirely at Jungkook's rigid jawline. She felt the subtle tremor in his hands, and her brilliant, hyper-observant brain immediately calculated exactly what was happening inside her boyfriend's mind. Jungkook was hurting. Her proud, fiercely independent Jungkook was drowning in high society intimidation. And YN was not about to let anyone make her man feel small. She reached up, her small, delicate fingers gently cupping Jungkook's face, forcing him to look down directly into her eyes. Her expression was suddenly filled with an intense and entirely unhinged romantic devotion. YN, Jihoon is right about one thing, Jungkookie. I do need to protect my legacy. She turned her head slightly, her voice dropping into cold and absolute tone as she addressed her childhood friend. YN, but my legacy isn't the company, Jihoon. My legacy is the man who came running into my life when I was alone. Kim International can burn to the ground tomorrow, and I wouldn't lose a single night of sleep, as long as I have him. Jihoon's face went entirely pale. The whiskey glass stopped swirling. YN didn't even wait for him to respond. She grabbed Jungkook by his tie, her movements full of a passionate urgency, and dragged him right out of the VIP lounge, leaving Jihoon sitting alone with his 12% projections. The moment they stepped into the private elevator of the building, the door slid shut, isolating them from the world. Jungkook stood against the wall, his eyes fixed on the floor, his voice thick with a raw, painful vulnerability. Jungkook, YN, you shouldn't have said that in front of him. He's right. He belongs in your world. He can give you the kind of advice, the kind of status. YN didn't let him finish. She slammed her hands against the elevator wall on either side of his shoulders, trapping him in her space. Her eyes were burning with thick tears of pure love. YN, look at me, Jungkook. Look at me right now. Jungkook lifted his eyes, his heart breaking at the sight of her tears. YN, do you think I love a balanced man? Do you think I go to sleep at night dreaming of tech bonds? I spent my entire life surrounded by men like Jihoon, men who look at me like a trophy. YN, you are the only person in this entire world who looks at me and just sees me. The real, tired, messy YN. She leaned in, her forehead pressing against his chest, her voice shaking violently. YN, don't you dare let your pride tell you that you aren't enough for me. If you are insecure about your salary, I will buy your entire firm tomorrow just to burn it down. YN. If you think I'm too far out of reach, I will step down from the board of directors right now. I don't care about the tycoon title, Jungkook. I am in love within you, and if you don't kiss me right now, I am going to initiate a hostile takeover of your mouth. Jungkook's breath hitched. Every single trace of insecurity, every single doubt, and every single fear completely disintegrated inside his chest, scorched away by her love. The morning after the elevator incident, Jungkook arrived at his firm wearing a brand new expression. The heavy cloud of insecurity was entirely gone, replaced by the satisfied aura of a man who knew he held a monopoly over the most powerful heart in the city. He sat at his desk, casually tossing a stress ball into the air, when his phone rang. This time, it wasn't a call. It was a notification forwarded from the Kim International Executive Office. Event, the annual fiscal handover gala and press conference. Time, 8 p.m. tonight. Mandatory dress code, black tie. Note from the chairman, bring my son-in-law. Or I will liquidate your favorite coffee shop. Jungkook let out a low laugh, setting the stress ball down. He looked at the matte black garment bag that had been delivered to his cubicle an hour ago by a stone-faced security guard. Inside was a midnight blue velvet tuxedo, tailored to his exact measurements. Attached to the zipper was a small, elegant card in YN's decisive handwriting. You wore your best suit for Jihoon. Wear this one for me. I'm introducing my greatest asset to the world tonight, JUNGKOOK. The grand ballroom of the luxury hotel was a sea of flashing cameras. And the absolute elite of the Asian corporate world. Hundreds of reporters were gathered around the main stage, waiting for YN to announce her multi-billion won international shipping merger. Standing near the back of the VIP section, Jihoon was nursing a glass of sparkling water, his face still looking slightly pale and stiff from his defeat the previous night. He was talking to a group of senior board members, trying to regain his high society footing. Board member. Director Jihoon, do you know who Chairman YN is bringing as her personal guest tonight? The rumors say it's a major international investor. Jihoon cleared his throat, his expression tight. Jihoon, I'm not entirely sure. But whoever he is, he must be someone who matches her caliber. YN doesn't invest her time in low-yield ventures. Suddenly, the heavy double doors of the ballroom swung open. The low hum of gossip instantly died out, replaced by a collective, sharp intake of breath. YN stepped into the hall. She looked magnificent, an absolute goddess of capitalism, wearing a structured, floor-length silk gown that shimmered like liquid silver under the chandeliers. Her hair was swept back, her jawline sharp and unyielding. But she wasn't walking alone. Holding her hand, his fingers tightly and possessively locked between hers, was JUNGKOOK. The midnight blue velvet tuxedo hugged his broad shoulders flawlessly, his dark hair styled perfectly, looking so devastatingly handsome and imposing that several high society heiresses dropped their champagne flutes. He didn't look like a middle-class employee, he looked like a king who had just conquered the territory. The press went completely wild. Cameras flashed like lightning, blinding the entire room. YN didn't hesitate. She led JUNGKOOK straight through the parting crowd of billionaires, heading directly toward the main stage. As they passed Jihoon, JUNGKOOK stopped for a fraction of a second. He didn't say a word. He simply adjusted his luxury cuffs, gave Jihoon a smug and triumphant smirk, and kept walking. Jihoon's jaw practically hit the marble floor. While the heiresses looked at JUNGKOOK with lingering gaze. YN stepped up to the microphone, her presence commanding absolute, pin-drop silence across the ballroom. JUNGKOOK stood right beside her, his large hand resting gently but firmly on her back, a calm, protective warmth radiating from him. YN, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, board members, and members of the press. Tonight, I am here to announce my wedding. She paused, turning her head slightly to look up at JUNGKOOK. The cold mask vanished completely, replaced by a gaze of such love that it resonated through the entire room. YN, many of you made rumors about me being in relationship with some businessmen. But tonight, I want to clarify the misunderstanding. The logistics of my heart are officially closed. YN, I have found my permanent partner and the only man who owns a 100% stake in my future. She reached out, grabbing JUNGKOOK by his velvet lapels, completely ignoring the 500 cameras flashing in their faces. YN, meet JUNKOOK. My real and permanent love. The ballroom erupted into a chaotic frenzy of shouting reporters and crashing headlines, but JUNGKOOK didn't hear a single bit of it. JUNGKOOK, you're very loud, Ms. Kim, you know that? YN grinned, her eyes sparkling behind her delicate glasses. YN. I like the sound of Mrs. though. She smirked naughtily. JUNGKOOK smirked back and pulled her more closer, whispering in her ear. JUNGKOOK, so, let's go change it to Mrs. John then. The end.